Hey, very good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our DevSecOps on AWS and AI assisted course. We have waited for a few minutes. I think most of us are here. So let's proceed uh, with our demonstration today. So today we wanted to cover up a very small introduction about basically like what do we do in the course and so certain general things uh, from the background, by the way, so how this rule evolved and things like that. So that's what we will majorly understand in this particular next half an hour, something like that. So 35 minutes, I will just, give up like what is that this training is about. And then post that we'll have ample amount of time for discussion. So let's get it started. Myself is Raghu, and whoever is not aware, maybe very few I have spoke with you, but um, myself is Raghu, and I am having 16 plus years of experience in IT industry. Have been working on different software engineering roles. So especially like uh, I mean the area I worked before the process of DevOps and during DevOps, and now currently working as a platform engineering, playing the platform engineering roles at enterprise companies. And my experience is majorly coming from financial companies experience, uh, which is like banks and payment sector. Okay, so yeah, that's about my introduction. And while actually I talk about like, my experience, I also have 14 years of experience in the trainings, teaching all the time throughout my uh, majority of the career as a part time. Now my experience on the enterprise, like so definitely is going to be a different, definitely a considering factor in terms of delivering the content. Okay, so because we are not going to run on just on the Hello World projects and things like that. Okay, so we'll definitely do a massive uh, project. So that's where it brings the complexity. And while we do that, okay, so the experience that what happens inside the organizations on different areas at a level of platforms and why DevOps like lengthy. Working on the big organization, so definitely we'll get into a deep discussions, kind of a thing. I like so the major point was the experience which I hold definitely is going to help us in delivering these content better just on the high level. So to start with, okay, so where is this? Um, I mean, let's come back to this later. Yeah. So let's understand where is this DevOps is actually coming from, right? Now let's go back to the, like 20 years back. If you go in, the software development is there from 50 years, right? So you had mainframe, and you had and we had uh, x86 hardware. Okay, majorly now we've been still running, right? So or not even x86. So you had Unix in between. You had mainframe systems. So still running in the organizations a lot of mainframes and Unix operating systems. So still a lot of Unix is there. Not even a lot, I would say, but at least like there are certain percentage of Unix is still involved in the organizations, especially the IBM AX, who is still supporting. And after that, x86 came into picture, and Linux came into picture. So now the point was the software development is there, you know, right from 50, 60 years, right? So it's not new, and the engineering roles are also not new. Okay, at the same time. So how do you put it on the server? How do you run your server? Okay, so how do you maintain it highly available? The engineering knowledge is always there from quite some time now. So that's where if you go back, where this automation, at least automation as a word was not quite famous. Like let's go back some 20 years. If you go back to 20 years, there was a software development happening, which is a very slow development. Okay, and the engineering and operations also very slow. So there is no problem. So like, these guys will used to develop 1 year, 2 year products and gets to the operations team or engineering team, and they will also take significant amount of time, a month, 2 months, to set up all the things, by the way, so settle the things. But slowly, the development has moved on to the iterative manner. So this is a sequential and slow manner, whereas the iterative and very faster manner it became agile came into the picture. Okay, so software industry started adopting agile because of its advantages of today's market needs. So then it started with agile. Okay, now while agile come into picture, so the operations, uh, the development become much faster, but whereas an operations become much slower. Okay, because you are still coming from the traditional side, so the operations is quite slow. So that is where certain practices of automation and tools pushed into the market, and the area of DevOps came into picture. So like so 12, 13 years you look in, so the DevOps has been started evolving into the market, right? And slowly, so while the DevOps is adopting the security as a vertical, so they are actually acting individually, slowly in the application area wherever the development happens. Security also uh, becomes the mandatory factor to consider, looking at the different risks involved, right? So that's where DevSecOps has been ruled like 5, 6 years. If you look at by the way, so security is also a major concept, so which is DevSecOps is coming into picture. Now, while the development is happening faster, while the operations is moving at a pace, by the way, so now enterprise companies looking, uh, so become massive. Now, how much massive? So if you look in like, so let's say how many services or microservices, let's say, does Netflix have? So if you look at that Netflix website, I think every one of you have went through the Netflix website at once. If you just imagine how complicated it is, I think it looks very simple, but behind the scenes they're telling like 1,000+ services, which are microservices. That means small pieces of softwares working together. So these microservices are running uh, at a in the at the data center or whatever is it's like cloud or whatever it is. So they are running and to power up that particular service, right? And the same way, if I go and look at other places like so Uber, who guys actually offer the technical information to the outside world. So Uber, Netflix, Gap, okay, to the companies which I know. So look, these guys are so going to these guys contribute a lot to the open source community also. Okay, so that is how they are tech driven business companies. Okay, their business is different, but still they're driven by tech. Okay, so they solved many so software problems, and they have open source the products. Okay. So like that. So that's where we're talking about these guys. So now if you look at the Uber, it became 4,500 services. Okay, so the scale is huge. Okay, so scale is very big, by the way, right? Now we're not talking about small. If you look at the companies as a big companies, so the scale is hugely high, and hence if we if we look in the problem right now is the massive amount of services are there, and I think at a point like so we are already seeing that human is very difficult to manage these particular things. So that's where certainly, okay, so there's a transformation in the market or disruption in the market, so which is AI. So now today we are seeing more, even in the DevOps area, so adopting AI, okay, to solve some of these problems. Okay, when you have things at massive, okay, where humans can't scale, so the systems can scale, okay, or the program software can scale. So that's where the AI is actually massively coming into picture, right? Now, whichever the area you are in, okay, so whether you came from waterfall to DevOps, by the way, so if you look at the maturity, now when we talk about the legacy systems, so there is always a downtimes anticipated in the legacy systems, like so classical examples like 2019 HDFC example. Okay, so 2019 HDFC end up with continuous outages and end up having RBI banning RBI banned HDFC credit cards. Okay, so RBI banned HDFC cards. So the continuous outages on in HDFC in between 2019-20 So they have banned the things, 1.5 year. It's such a big bank. Okay. So HDFC is considered as India's first company in terms of capital, if you look in, right? So the second is Reliance. HDFC is such big. Okay. So in their housing finance sector, so they are massive, by the way. So now, while such bank, okay, so which is available almost in tier two, tier three cities, at least tier two, okay, to the tier two cities, they are available in India. And so they are having, like, so they, one of the income business is credit card, right? So credit card, so the credit card converting into AMIs, and the interests are high, by the way. So such business, not doing, they simply if impose a fine, not only the amount that you pay, by the way, because 10 crore is not even their 1 minute revenue. So there's no need to point, there's no need to bother about that 10 crore fine. But however, they actually got a impact of 1.5 year. They can't even sell the credit cards. So that's a big business impact, right? So, I mean, especially this happens in the business of banking in certain countries only, not every country. But again, India's governance is is ruthless. Okay, so RBI is ruthless. So they don't even, okay, so consider how big you are, how are you, things like that. So if you are not actually aligning to the compliance governance, it's as simple as that. So so you will be impacted in a way, right? So that's how it is. So our point is, so even till today, 2026 you are in. So I'm not sure how many of you own the credit card, by the way. So if you own a HDFC bank something, we always get a message saying that, so this month we are, doing this many hours of downtime. Still you are getting. So those much legacy are there. Okay, okay. But whereas in contrast, if you look at, like, so the significantly another big bank, which is like ICICI and the private sector, so very less messages you will get. Very pretty rare, once in a month, once in a year, something like that. Will not get very regular messages because they have, adopted the best, engineering practices, and they moved on to the technology. But whereas not the HDFC. So that's where, like, differences you'll see, right? And so there are certain okay, so certain top uh, outages, looking at the legacy. I just brought in something, okay, from different sectors, right? So bank is one. Okay, so TSB Bank is one of the big bank, right? So, like, these guys works under governance, so the downtimes are very, unknown downtimes are very risky for these guys. Okay, now that doesn't mean that, so that is the era of waterfall legacy systems. Now we moved on to the agile, and when you moved on to the agile and the DevOps process, so, and the DevOps is not something, you know uh, something better about it. Okay, so this guy also had enough outages, and so risk caused here as well. Okay, and the risk is even higher this side if you look in, right? So now if you look, like, so the 2024, so a very horrible experience in the airplane industry, right? So aeronautical space, like, if you look at, like, the flights CrowdStrike, at least for a couple of days, there's a massive disruption in the services that is being offered, right? So so most of the flights that went on halt, right? So, and some of the mistakes, now let's say, so we think automation is very good, by the way, like, but automation blast radius is very high. Okay, so some of the mistakes caused in the Meta 2021, okay, caused a massive loss to the business. And also 2024, this one recently happened one, right? Amazon outage, okay, of a user mistake, engineer mistake, by the way, so massively interrupted uh, services. Okay, AWS 2024 outage, right? Very recent one. So they had a very okay. uh, Sorry, 2020. in 2026. I forgot that 2025 outage. Yeah. So October 2025 outage is okay. Is the classical example that how automation can be a risk also. Okay. So the user mistake, right? So that is where okay. So DevOps is also not the not as a solution you look in, but overall you need to understand that how well you're doing the engineering is very very important, by the way. And certain places so now the whole point which I wanted to bring in is when you look at the big companies, okay, so well such impact is actually going to, or while the systems are massive, okay, so whereas there are a lot of upstream downstream systems, and the impact is always a cascading effect, so where the humans can't scale in that particular area, now the AI actually comes as a solution in that particular area. So the whole point which we are talking about here is that, right? Okay, so now if you look at the different so solutions come from AI, by the way. So the first one I wanted to talk about here is GitHub has conducted um, a survey that how uh, this is not the point. Let me just go to other one. Yeah. So in the GitHub, okay, if you look at GitHub has done the survey. Okay, so just a survey on the development work, and they're telling that 92% of the US developers are already using the AI tools. Okay, so and more than four, okay, out of five developers are having AI coding tools in their team for collaboration purpose. Now, what does this means to operations? What this means to us is the same problem what we're talking about, right? The problem which I talked about is as a slowness is bringing the operations faster with the DevOps. Now the developers are actually even in a much faster pace, right? So with AI they can generate millions of lines of code just in few hours, right? And so to structure and engineering, so you also essentially need the same kind of a empowered help that is AI can help you here. So that's where we're talking about. Okay, so I think we have been in a phase like, at least if you look at like last 7 8 months, there is a rapid there is a rapid disruption in the by the AI in the industry. Okay, so before to that it was like yes or no, maybe, may not be, okay, all this kind of a thing. But at least if you look at like 7 8 months, it is clearly okay cutting its path. Okay, so in the industry, but even unless until you adopt it, actually you can't help the developers here, right? So I'm assuming like so most of you at least have the basic understanding of where this DevOps came from, right? So basically like this is basically post development activity. So that's where I'm telling always developer and the post development. Now looking at the I think let's move to the next one here. Yeah, so looking, this is the major thing I wanted to talk about. So where human can't scale and you essentially need the help on that. And there are certain case studies where so AI detection, the GitHub made the vulnerabilities fixing 3x faster, and Meta has fine-tuned okay llama to auto identify the root causes of the issues, by the way integrating the AI. The PagerDuty tells that 91% of the noise reduction. So this is very important actually. 91% of the alert noise reduction has been reduced, and their ROI has increased to 249%. So these are all different links. These are all public available documents. You can read if you're interested. Okay, so this is where the industry is moving on, and we also want to adopt the same thing so that we can match the skill that is there in the that is need in the market right now. Okay. Now coming to the this is fine. Coming to uh, the roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer, right? Now, if I look like, I think the title needs to be corrected, but that's okay. Now, DevSecOps with cloud and AI operations or with AI kind of a thing. So taking the help from AI. So now your major job is going to be, okay, infrastructure as a code. So that means you are going to run certain infra to run your applications, and that to be defined as a code. Okay, so in order to create a server, so if you go back like again maybe 20 years back, if you look at a server installation, so then you probably buy a server, put some CD, pen drive, something like that. You boot the OS and install, this work, right? So, but now you're getting a servers with a few clicks on the cloud and few lines of code can create a server. So that's a code is doing the job. That's infra as a code. And the next is CI/CD engineering. So that means there's a post development, by the way. So this is one of the core of the DevOps process, the CI/CD. So which comes with a shift left approach. So the early detection of the problems, by the way, and also when you actually do your releases, so where you have a zero downtime releases and the rollback strategies, how do you handle? Now the container orchestration. So where the majority of the hardware today is running on the containers. So at least CNCF report tells, I think I have that link somewhere. CNCF report tells more than 51% is already industry is adopting, not 50, I think 70, if I'm not wrong. 70% of the organizations are already using containers, is what the CNCF survey is telling. Okay. And while we do that, so learning about containers, managing the containers is one of the key factors. And in fact, actually, I need to convert this particular course training heading also a little bit. So this is more native to the Kubernetes. Okay, we do a lot of Kubernetes. We do a lot of Kubernetes. So that's where, okay, container orchestration is very important. And we do look at, it's a DevSecOps, like, so the security integration is mandatory for an application before releasing. We need to make sure everything is perfectly checked and there are no issues. Right. And the next is, once the application go on to the monitoring, uh, once go on to the live, by the way, you need to do monitoring and all. So that is another thing. And finally, hosting your LLMs, okay, into your environment, and how do you use it for all this particular work, by the way? Because as an example, the previous example, so Meta is actually fine tuning Lalama to detect the RCAs or the pager duty telling that 91% of the alerts has been detected. So you can't actually expose your company's data to the outside models, by the way. Okay, you need to essentially host the models inside, and you should use that. Then how do you do that? Okay, so that is one of the things that it is very much needed in the enterprise world. So that's where what we are going to see, by the way. And yeah, so that's something. And if you still look like, so why DevOps? I think this is kind of a marketing, by the way. Why DevOps in 2026? Again, the same answer. So the software development is not going away, but it's changing at a pace of nth power, I can say, right? So it's as much as possibility, the pace has been changed. Okay, maybe you call it as 100x, 1000x. Okay, so whatever it is, doesn't matter. Okay, so it is massively improving. But at the same time, so while the software industry is still there, engineering roles will be there. Okay, it's as simple as that. As long as the developer, see, it's always the transformation. So I mean, the roles were always never same. If I at least look like, so 16 years of my experience, at least 2-3 times the change has happened. Maybe first time when I was doing it, so there was no even Stack Overflow also properly. So for the first phase, if I look at my journey, when we used to operate on the system, so we used to read a lot, try a lot. So setting up a web server, my first job, setting up a web server alone took, okay, so with all the required modules and all, alone took 30 days. The first month of my career, I still remember the task is to set up a web server. And it took more than 30 days because there is no documentation. Okay, you had to read it. You had to read it a lot, and do that. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. So then slowly, okay, the internet has been, coming up, and the Stack Overflow is a major. major place, by the way. So then slowly, so information sharing becoming someone would have solved that particular problem. Okay, so then the era is all about so posting the questions, answering the questions. So this was the time, the moment, by the way. And slowly, the tools started coming into picture, like so the tools like Hudson. Okay, so today you may hear about Jenkins, by the way, but there's a mother to that, actually. Okay, there's a parent to that. There's a Hudson tool. Okay, tools like Hudson, Puppet. Okay, so these tools were there in the market, and slowly coming into picture, we started adopting it for hosting and releasing, right? Uh, Not for hosting exclusively, for so to push to the hosting or maybe releasing and all. So we were using some tools slowly. Okay. Then slowly the agile has came into the picture. The microservices came into the picture. Then we have seen the agile scale, by the way, with the DevOps. Okay. And some DevSecOps and Kubernetes once came into the picture. Container game is completely different. At least 4 or 5 times it has shifted, by the way, right? So we have been continuously adopting and moving on. And at least from the last 1 year, we have been looking as a working area also, been looking at so different things on the AI. So finally we have implemented, we have so we have hosted LLMs in our company, and we have been using them for different problems, by the way. Now having it internal is very very interesting, and uh, having it internal is a very very uh, essential need. Okay, so I will tell you one example, okay, to answer that, by the way. So here, I'll tell you one classical example which I know, and what is that we solved here. So here we had, let's say I talk about bank example because it's been a decade, almost closing to a decade, that I've been working on the banks, and the only business I know right now, the business knowledge on the application side I hold is now banking. It has become that way. Now, looking at it, so back in days, I have a bank, by the way. So when I enter into the bank, okay, now let's say if you go 70 years back, now there is a person, banker used to be there. Now he used to help across, what all the different things that you need in the bank. Maybe you need a banking account, or you need a send to amount that to the other side. Whatever it is, he used to help. Now slowly, okay, banking started adoption, like more people coming into the picture. Right? Now, while more people are coming into the picture, so so dealing going by person, you can't scale. So that's where banks, what they have done is they horizontally scaled, by the way. Okay. Then they start putting the counters. Okay, you want to deposit, you go here. You want a withdrawal, you go here. Okay, you want a credit card, you go here. You want to go open a bank account, you go here. You want a loan, you go here. Like this, different verticals came into picture. Now people started going into these different verticals, by the way, right? Now slowly digitalization came into picture. So now while digitalization came into picture, this guy started preparing his own product. This guy started creating its own product. Okay, this guy own product. So now more IT jobs has been created here. Okay, so because every vertical is also in the bank business wise also different vertical. They won't talk to each other. Okay, they don't deal with each other. So every guy is individual here. Okay, so whereas a personal banking, okay, even though it is a lending guy, okay, personal banking is one guy. Okay, head of personal banking will be there, head of retail banking will be there, head of wholesale banking will be there. Okay, head of that loan, this loan. Okay, different people will be there. They buy different products. It made different massive things. Now, okay, so there is one problem in India is eKYC or KYC, by the way. So KYC mandatory time. Now, there is a term for KYC limit, by the way. So that means every 2 years, in less than 2 years, you have to do the, okay, so KYC every time. Okay. So within 2 years, you have to confirm or you have to redo the KYC. So it means like now every guy out there, every product out there, so needs a KYC to be done, right? This is there. Okay. Now a new guy has actually, we started a new product, let's say. Now this new guy wanted to do the KYC. Now this KYC problem is already solved by these guys. Okay. But this guy doesn't know about it. Now going back and talking to these people, understanding it and how they did it, all is sort of who to reach also in the big organization is a big question sometimes. Whom to reach is also is a day's effort, actually. You knock one guy, that guy will tell something, and he will tell something. It's all the web of something. Okay. Now let's say the problem what we solved is now these guys has implemented. So like let's say there are thousands of repositories. Okay, case of repositories. Okay, 1,000 is very less number. At least I can put it that way. Now, what we have done is we have added our LLM to this, by the way. Okay, connected to the Git repository. So, which in let's say we are using is Bitbucket. Let's say, right? So now, if I want to do now this guy is a new to the bank, and so new to this product, and he wanted to do the KYC, which is native to the bank. Okay. And so which is already solved the problem. So then he will go and do the query, okay, to the AI. Okay. So one example I'm giving. So then he will go and try to give it to the AI, and the AI will go across the bit buckets, okay, and help you in understanding, okay, this KYC module is already implemented by these so and so people. Okay, this is how the so and so code has been written, and it will be given to the developer. So he will simply understand it and he will adopt it. So we don't need to put months of effort on that. Okay, problem solved. But this AI is hosted internally, right? So I can't be going outside and putting that. So that's the point, right? So whereas we're talking about here is uh, the AI playing a very key role while we learn this. So now these roles are not new. And now today we are actually entering into a phase like, so for me to go and read the 1,000 repositories, it's humanly impossible. At least if you look at like, so uh, 5,000, 10,000 repositories, which is out there. So some are stale, some are active. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, no one can't even imagine. So the massive scale AI comes as one of the reason to go for, right? And the next is so I think so the salaries wise it's always there. So DevOps is one of the leading role in terms of payments. Okay, so which okay, yeah. So this is what I'm telling. Like so CNCF survey that tells like 82% is already adopted. The CNCF survey here so tells like 82% of the people has been companies has been already put Kubernetes in production. Okay, so Kubernetes is massive. Okay. So this whole training is you can consider as a Kubernetes, but Kubernetes ecosystem, because just only Kubernetes you can't run everything. Okay, I can't run a company just with Kubernetes, so you require other things. So that's where uh, the other tools also you need to have a knowledge, and that's where we're doing. So it's a Kubernetes centric training. However, there are other tools involved here. Okay, so uh, the roles and responsibilities, if you look in, so we are going to deal with infrastructure as a code and CI/CD for application releases, especially, and the container orchestration because of Kubernetes as a major one, and the security and the monitoring, and and it is a AI powered automation, basically, like whatever we do. So we'll try to put some AI solutions to that for some of the problems that we face in the training. Okay. Now, if you look at the AI, by the way, so you will learn, we'll try to learn certain things, by the way. So how do you use GitHub Copilot for running some workflows? Okay, but developing some workflows, and how do you generate the whole project code also with the AI, by the way. So by telling the requirement of how it get generated, and uh, and also we look at the so some of the so things like how do you host your LLMs onto Kubernetes, and how do you do the so the pipelines for MLOps, the basics at least you will get it here. Okay, all this, and also like so having a massive systems like understanding where the error is going on, and so monitoring, feeding to AI. Let's try to see some results out of that, some general other things. So that's about something what you are actually going to do in the training. And in this training, so we are going to have different modules like starts with the Linux. Linux is essential in the uh, in the server world, by the way. So we need to learn about it, and some automation with shell scripting. We'll learn this is a AWS based one, so we'll learn some AWS codes. and Git repositories, configuration management, Ansible, okay, IAC, Terraform, and Packer, and containerization. So basically, a Docker, and then Kubernetes will come. And then, okay, monitoring basically is one of the important thing that you will learn by the way. Okay, so monitoring, I would say like, I mean, let me bring something. When we start the monitoring, by the way, so we'll start doing the load test. That means simulate the uh, real-time traffic onto the system. So then that's where you will start seeing some errors. So let's say I put some 13,000 requests, whereas only 11,000 success and 2,000 was a failure. And then we'll move on. We'll fine tune. Okay, so out of some 60,000, you can see that 5K failures came into picture. Okay, so close to 4K, right? So there are failures continuously. It goes on, looks in different places. Learning different concepts. Okay, so different things. So finally, what do we do is we will bring it to the zero. So here 19,000 I pushed it. So very minimal errors came in. So which is some 3 errors came. Okay, and slowly we'll move on. Okay, and we stabilize. I think that is almost a stabilized state. So 3 errors. I think those three also doesn't came to our application. So those are public faced internet. Some failures came. Okay, so that's how we actually solves that particular problem. So now the system is ready. Okay, we'll stabilize the system with a lot of load, and we'll go on to the CI/CD system. Okay, that means continuous traffic. We'll put it on the system, and we'll see the failure. So for an example, here you see this 121K. That means 1,20,000 requests we are going to in that time frame, by the way. So then there are some errors, and why those errors came, we'll look into that, and finally we'll so some 75,000 1K errors are there. Something is missing, add it, fine tune. One day we'll try to bring it to the zero. So finally, after doing that, one day we'll bring zero errors to the system. So we'll do a lot of monitoring in the uh, I mean, essentially, right? So if you are actually running your application and we're telling that enterprise scale, and okay, so we need to simulate that. Okay, so otherwise, hello world, you run hello world and you just simply do a deployment and you do a clapping and going onto the market, by the way, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's where, okay, we'll do bit, deep things here. So on the project, especially, so then you have some Arco CD and you have uh, security things that will cover, and the Python also will learn as a part of this particular training. Okay, and finally the AI part and the project. So these are the different things that you're going to learn in that particular in the training as well. So it's going to be so close to 3.5 months. So maybe close to less than 4 months you can consider. So here and there, and 5 days a week it is going to be, and every day you're going to, okay, anyhow that will come. So we're going to deal with a project. So it is going to be a microservice based project on AWS. It's a full CI/CD will do, and it's going to be containerized with EKS, by the way, and the infrastructure completely provisioned with Terraform, configuration with Ansible, monitoring with Prometheus, Grafana, and other tools, Hotel, whatever it is, and security, by the way, and so the deployment, anyhow, that's okay. Now, our project is actually going to have a total 7 microservices, 4 databases, and comes with a polyglot databases, different databases that will come. So like I already shown, so the application, we're going to start from a greenfield approach that starts from zero, and then we will go towards making the same application as a highly available, highly scalable, highly secure application will do. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. And so we are going to have every day 5 weeks, 5 days. We are going to have a live session. So starts from tomorrow. It's going to be morning 7:30 to 9 o'clock. And okay, so from cloud side also, every one of you need to sign up your own account of AWS, and you will practice in your own account. And there are certain charges which are involved in that. We'll talk about the details in the classes. So you'll be paying those particular things and practice in the cloud. And while you do that, we'll just simplify with some of the offerings from our side by hand. Okay, so that's all. And the next is every day from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. the IST time. So we are going to have a lab support if you have any questions. During that time, you can always come by and log in and do that. And the recordings you're going to get as a part of the training. So it's a lifetime access. And so then finally, we're going to have the project that you learn, by the way. So you're going to have a resume support, interview preparation. Okay, so content will be given. And then so any place we find a right opportunity for any of our students, so we'll just generally forward those particular things. Those are the major things that we get as part of the training. And that's all from my side for today. So if you have any questions, so there'll be an option to raise your hand. You can click, there's a raise hand option will be there. You click on that so that I'll come to know that you have a question and I'll come to you one by one. Okay. Any questions, please go ahead. There'll be a raise hand option.
Hello.
Yes, Taslim.
Yeah, hi Raghu. I'm Taslim.
Yeah.
I'm currently working in IT in a very tool called Commvault. It's a very basic tool. I have overall 12 years of experience. Recently, I internally moved to IT. Don't have any basic knowledge on Linux and the terms which you are using right now. Like I don't know most of them. So you
12
will be.
layers into Commvault only.
Yeah. I internally moved to work on Commvault tool, but the Commvault tool also I'm not working like on L3 level, just monitoring part and if any failures, just basic troubleshooting. I know not much.
Okay.
Uh,
So what is your
so
question?
so in this sessions, you will be teaching everything from the beginning, or it is like a like who have already knowledge. It is for them. Like I just wanted to confirm on it.
Okay. We'll start from scratch. Simple answer is start from scratch and you will be able to learn.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyone? Any other question? Then should be able to raise the hand. Good. Yes, I. You're not audible side.
Sorry for that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question like i- after completing this, what we say, sessions, am I eligible to clear the AWS architect level or anything or any Kubernetes administrator level certifications? That course cover anything from that?
Kubernetes, yes. And
Mhm.
AWS, you're talking about solution architect course.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah.
AWS,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go on. Yeah.
AWS solution architect course is defined for
Mhm.
a person who is already an architect and who
Mhm.
can do the architect in AWS. For him, it is actually designed that course. By doing that course, you'll not become an architect. There's a catch in that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if unless until you're an architect, you'll not be you make because it's an objective based questions, right? ABCDs, right? You may be able
Oh.
to clear the question. I mean, as a certificate perspective, yes. But however,
Mhm.
there is no value to that by doing it because it is designed for the architects. Unless until you're an architect, there is no point in that.
Yeah, got it. Raghu. Thanks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank
But CK also, I again, okay, I'll not teach on the certification context, by the way, because
you.
any of the CK person you bring it to the organization, he will fail to run the Kubernetes only. Okay, he will not be
Yeah.
able to run. Okay,
Mhm.
our major focus is how to run
Mhm.
how to run these systems in a production, by the way. Okay, ours is more hands-on. Okay,
Okay.
so that means you'll always get more and more than what you get it in the CK. But some of the things to help you in cracking the certificate, some hits, some hints, and those particular things may not be really there. So to keep it simple, right? Our 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 thing is all about to go there and do hands dirty. And I wanted to work on the real systems. By the way, this course is designed for them.
So, like I have just 1 year experience as a data engineer, kind of. It's a mostly data science engineer. So,
Mm.
and so can I keep at least, can I get a, how get at least get 2 years experience from this when I complete all these courses and follow the all the lab sessions and completed the projects?
Yeah, yeah, easily.
Mhm. Sure, thanks. Yeah, that's all. Hi, hello. Thanks for answering questions.
Okay. Anyone? Any other
Hi,
questions?
Jatin this side.
Yeah,
Okay. Just want to know, like from the scratch when we are starting, does we able to maintain a GitHub profile as well? Like,
yeah. You
uh,
need to. We'll talk about that also.
okay, okay. So,
Yeah, hi Raghu. This side Sandeep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me you are creating like CI/CD pipelines for in microservices, right? So that
Mhm.
microservice already it's built on your side, or you will build for the classes.
The
Like
microservices
create
building job is
the create
the mic.
you will create the microservice in class, or like already you have in microservices like projects.
The simple answer is we will not create. And why is because developing microservices is a developer job, not the DevOps engineering.
Okay, okay, and that microservices we do in CI/CD.
CI/CD is a very small aspect, by the way. There are other big things, right? The roles and responsibilities when you look in.
Okay.
CI/CD is just one part of it, and also a small part of
Mm.
it. Yeah. So these are the ones.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Anyone? Any other questions? You can directly unmute and talk. You know to raise the hand also now.
Hey Raghu, this is Abhishek. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're right.
So, so as you said, you are also working full time in your role, and this is your part time. So, will you be taking the classes, or is there any other trainers who will be helping us out?
No, it is going to be 100% mine. The live sessions I will only take.
Okay, thank you. And I have another question. As in, you mentioned this AI ops is like you just added this recently, or
Yeah,
there were
yeah.
different. So, like, how will this be changed regularly, like in future? Because you already know, like, AI is developing now every time. So, will there be any updates which we can, update ourselves with the current industry?
Yeah, of course. At least if I look at like my last 11 years, majorly the DevOps trainings, at least I have changed my syllabus 10 times. Okay, because while the industry is changing, I can't keep the go with the persistent content, right? So I also has to adopt the new things. And like as I mentioned, so over last 1 year of the working experience, now I felt like it's time that I have even confidence on in the hands-on, by the way. So I will take it to the trainings as well. So that's how now only I'm planning. This is the first batch I'm putting into this. And yes, a simple answer is yes, going forward, there'll be changes, no doubt in that. So while the industry is going in one direction, I can't go in the other direction. There's no point. We'll always adopt.
So, actually, my question was the updates will be available to us.
Okay.
Uh,
May not be.
Okay,
As
so
of
we
now,
have to enroll again.
not enroll again. So enroll, I mean, like back in days, how we were giving is always, you can always come back one time. I mean, you can always come back and attend one more time is what we were giving to the students all the time. Okay. So, but if it was that there was a necessary need, by the way, we'll look at it. That's
Okay, thank you.
and that need also will not come usually, right? So because you already get the major context, by the way, and understanding, I think you'll be able to catch up. That fear I can understand. Okay. So, but I mean, having the major course here, I think the same trainer, if he can explain certain topics, it will be better. I think I can understand that particular point. I completely hear you, but also at the same time, it may not be needed also, right? So as long as today, see, first thing, let me put this way: is this course is necessarily needed to take from me only? The answer is no, right? Anyone or even the GPT can help you in learning, by the way, if you are really interested. So you don't have to spend anything also. But what we are actually going to do here is we are going to structure and add the experience and deliver it. So that's the only USP you can get of this particular training, right? So that's where I think if you'll be able to catch up, but if you still need it, that's fine. You come back, we'll see what we can.
Makes sense. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of question. I mean, asking a lot of question. I have one more last question.
Yeah,
So, so in the interview processes, will you be referring? I mean, it was mentioned you will be referring,
yeah. I know.
but is it until we get a job, or it's just sometime you will be doing just preparing us?
Now we have a portal where we'll be publishing there. By the way, it's not about who get the job, who won't get the job. So the portal is open as a part of the training enrollment. You will have access.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, Raghu. Can you hear me?
Yes, Rohit.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, would this end by June mid, around June, 15th or something like that? Or how would this proceed?
Yeah, June mid we should be able to.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Raghu.
Yeah.
Do we need to use any paid services by AWS at any point during the course?
Yeah. So all the services that we use is going to be paid tools because, like as you mentioned, we're not going to be using Hello World kind of a thing, right? So it's going to be uh, it's going to be a big project. So maybe the last time when you actually run the big project, so that time we'll cross the free limits and we had to pay.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone? Any other questions?
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
May I know what is the batch timings and how many students are involved in this batch?
So student involvement, it's not finalized yet. So you can ask maybe after a couple of days we can help you. And the timings will be morning 7:30 to 9 o'clock Indian time.
Like, do you have any limit for the students? Like, only this set of numbers should be involved in the batch?
Yes, correct. Will not go with the big one.
Okay. And do you have any assistants, like job assistants, like while we are applying any mock interviews, kind of, the resume preparation?
Yes, those are part of it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, today, usually the session usually starts by a admin person tells what all the facilities you get it as a part of the training. So fortunately, she was not available. I started with the technical discussion. So, but yeah, so those are there. Any other question?
Sorry, I'm Sri here.
Yeah.
A follow-up question on the course. I've been trying to register it or like make a payment to enroll in the course, but I couldn't find any option in the website.
Okay. Okay. So we'll reach you. Fine.
Right. Thank you.
All good? No questions?
Yeah, can you explain like more about like monitoring and like observability, any kind of like SRE principles and all? Because if you
Yeah.
see any like JDs in that they are mentioning like tools. So because of that, I'm like more concerned on it, observability and like monitoring.
Yeah. We'll go by SRE principles, and even we take the Google SRE book, and from there we'll start the model.
I think like mostly they are asking in like interviews about like latency, how you will like handle and all.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I have shown that, right? So there's certain graphs by the way that involves the latency also. If you have
okay,
seen,
yes,
let
exactly.
me.
Yeah, I see somewhere.
So here, you are getting here. You can see the latency also. We are doing the calculation, and we'll do the we'll put a rough uh, rough name, like generally in the business, by the way. So we'll be having a latency agreement, like how much time we will respond from the IT perspective. So there we'll tell,
Yeah,
like
like that.
so
SLA,
P9,
SLO. Yeah.
yeah, P99 or P95. So I usually mark, like 500 milliseconds in the classes. So now if you look at the P99 95, it is 230 milliseconds mean. So that means we achieve so here on the other side P95 we achieve less than 500 milliseconds. So whatever is the requirement, we'll define the requirement, we'll achieve it.
Yeah, which tools we are going to use for that, like observability and monitoring?
So we are going to
I did.
use Prometheus Grafana and New Relic for New Relic for APM, and we are going to use ELK for log analysis. Prometheus is the major one.
So no Splunk.
Splunk alternative, we have ELK.
Okay, okay. Thank you. That's it from my end.
And again, so well, the question comes in. So usually, I missed to mention this. So the content actually, so like, is a very important thing. Now the discussion came, the point as Splunk. Now, how you came to know about Splunk? Because your work organization may be using Splunk, and that's where you think that Splunk is widely used. Even in my current organization, also I'm using Splunk. Okay, so but we both may think that Splunk is widely used in the market. Okay, but when you look at the market from the from the wide variety of the people, okay, Splunk will not be the leader. So here, actually, roadmap.sh is a website for this confusion only. So it is a sixth most starred project in the GitHub, and it has 45,000 community, by the way. So these guys will discuss and so define roadmaps, by the way. Whereas you have DevOps, and in the DevOps actually, so there is a so you can see this. So the log management, by the way. So these guys' preference is either it is Elasticstack or Loki. Now, how these guys actually define it, it depends upon certain calculations, so usage, okay, futuristic scope, features, certain aspects actually they make it. So on that criteria, so these guys are actually going to use
Okay,
telling
actually,
Elasticstack.
I see mostly like log monitoring, like Splunk and Grafana. I heard most like JDs, like job descriptions. So that's what I'm asking. Yeah, I have experience on it also. So that's another part. But okay, yeah, I'm good with this.
Any other questions?
So, hi Raghu, this is Anil.
Yeah.
So I have a question like, if we start learning this course, is this helps us for the development as well as the security side and server side, or it will be helpful for both sides?
What do you mean by development? Can you give
Yeah,
more?
development means like creating the pipelines and taking care of any failures. Say, yeah, we schedule right to run the
Correct.
pipelines. Any DNS creation, SSH creation, or like the writing some development in the tools. That part at the same time, the server creation. Those two parts are there, right? In general, or both comes under as a DevOps engineer.
Both comes under DevOps.
So is this course really helps for, I mean, like, both perspective?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean to say, like, sometimes we need to automate a few things, a few development things that, in the
Yes, yes.
organization.
You need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, so then we can meet in.
Raghu, one last question.
Mhm.
So you will be giving any note kind of, or is it something we have to maintain during the class sessions?
See, I will give. Simple answer is yes, will give. And also, I would encourage you to prepare things from your side also. Okay, because my note is always flexible for me only, right? May not be for you. Uh, yeah, in a way, I still suggest you to, okay, so maintain your draft of what the things you have been doing so that you are comfortable with your own. But we will do, I mean, from the tools and topics perspective, we'll provide.
Sure, Raghu. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then. So we'll meet, no questions. We can meet in tomorrow, the live session, so which is morning 7:30 a.m. in the morning, and continue. I'll stop the recording. If you have any questions, feel free to ask as well. Okay, I'll be there for a couple of minutes. Or if you don't have anything, so see you tomorrow morning.